Cliff Richard finally breaks silence on Andy Gibb. Cliff Richard was born Harry Roger Webb on October 14, 1940, in Lucknow, India. His early years were shaped by a world at war, as his family soon faced the upheaval of World War II. Seeking safety and stability, they relocated to England when Cliff was just a child. This move brought with it both challenges and opportunities, as he adjusted to a new country, a different culture, and the hardships of post-war Britain. From a young age, Cliff showed an extraordinary fascination with music. He was drawn to the energetic sounds of American rock and roll and rhythm and blues, which were becoming increasingly popular in the UK during the 1950s. These genres inspired him and laid the foundation for his future musical style. To cultivate his talent, Cliff took piano and guitar lessons, developing not only technical skills, but also a sense of musical expression that would later define his performances. School life offered further opportunities for him to shine. He participated in local competitions, sang in school concerts, and began performing wherever he could. Even as a young boy navigating the uncertainty of a post-war world, he displayed remarkable dedication and passion. Friends, teachers, and family quickly noticed his talent, and he began to dream of a future in music. This period of his life was not just about music. It was also about resilience and adaptability. Moving from India to England meant adjusting to new social norms, forming friendships in a new environment, and navigating the challenges of a childhood interrupted by global events. Yet, these experiences helped shape the determined, disciplined, and humble character that would later define his public persona. In these formative years, Cliff Richard was already laying the groundwork for a career that would span decades. His early exposure to diverse musical influences, combined with his innate talent and tireless practice, gave him a unique edge. By his teenage years, he was already performing with local bands and dreaming of stages far larger than those of his school or neighborhood. It was clear that music wasn't just a hobby. It was his calling, a passion that would guide him through a lifetime of fame, challenges, and creative evolution. As the 1950s progressed, the sound of rock and roll was sweeping across the world, igniting the imaginations of young musicians everywhere. Cliff Richard, already demonstrating immense talent and a deep passion for music, realized that to make a mark in this evolving industry, he needed more than just his voice. He needed a band that could match his energy and vision. It was in this context that he co-founded a group originally called The Drifters, which would soon be renamed The Shadows. This collaboration marked a turning point in British popular music, as the group introduced a new level of sophistication, style, and charisma to the emerging rock and roll scene. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this story, hit subscribe and join our music-loving community. Also, drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We love seeing all the countries our fans come from. The Shadows were far from ordinary. They brought a distinctive instrumental approach that combined crisp guitar riffs, inventive arrangements, and precise rhythm sections. Their music had a clean, polished quality, yet it retained the raw excitement and energy of rock and roll. When paired with Cliff Richard's smooth, confident, and charismatic vocals, the result was electric. Together, they created a sound that was not only catchy but also innovative, appealing to both young audiences eager for modern music and older listeners intrigued by the fresh British interpretation of rock and roll. The turning point came in 1958 with the release of Move It, a track that would cement Cliff Richard's status as a pioneering force in British music. Unlike many early British artists who merely imitated American rock, Move It had its own unique character. The song blended infectious rhythm, strong melody, and Cliff's vocal intensity to produce something that felt entirely original. Critics hailed it as one of the first true British rock and roll songs, and it quickly captured the public's imagination. Fans were drawn not only to the music, but also to Cliff's magnetic stage presence. Move. It was more than a hit single. It was the beginning of a cultural movement that would culminate in the British invasion of the 1960s, with bands like the Beatles following in his footsteps. The early years of Cliff's career were characterized by relentless ambition and tireless effort. He and the Shadows toured extensively, performing at local clubs, concert halls, and on radio shows. These performances were more than simple gigs. They were carefully crafted spectacles, demonstrating Cliff's ability to connect with audiences through both his music and his personality. His stage presence was magnetic, combining charm, energy, and a disciplined professionalism that set him apart from many of his contemporaries. Meanwhile, the Shadows' tight musical cohesion and innovative arrangements became a defining feature of his sound, inspiring countless other British musicians to explore new ways of blending rock, pop, and instrumental artistry. This period was also a time of intense learning and adaptation for Cliff. He had to navigate the complexities of a music industry that was rapidly professionalizing, balancing the demands of recording sessions, live performances, and media appearances. He faced the pressures of sudden fame, yet he remained grounded, demonstrating a work ethic and dedication that would become hallmarks of his long career. His experiences during these formative years taught him the importance of perseverance, discipline, and creativity, lessons that would serve him well in the decades to come. The collaboration between Cliff Richard and the Shadows not only defined his early sound but also established him as a versatile and enduring performer. It was a milestone, but it was only the beginning. The combination of his distinct voice, the Shadows' musical innovation, and the cultural timing of the late 1950s created the perfect storm for a career that would span more than 60 years. By the end of this period, Cliff had not only secured his place in British music history, but had also paved the way for future generations of artists, demonstrating the power of originality, talent, and the relentless pursuit of artistic excellence. Ultimately, the formation of The Shadows and the early success of Move It were about more than just music. They represented a bold new chapter in British cultural history. Cliff Richard had emerged as a trailblazer, a young man with the vision, talent, and determination to transform the landscape of popular music, and the world was only beginning to take notice. Cliff Richard's career is a testament to enduring talent, adaptability, and a relentless dedication to his craft. Over the course of more than 6 decades, he released more than 70 albums and over 130 singles, an achievement few artists can claim. This incredible output reflects not only his creativity, but also his ability to evolve with the changing tastes of the music industry while staying true to his unique sound. Each decade brought its own challenges and opportunities, yet Cliff remained at the forefront of British popular music, consistently producing songs that resonated with audiences of all ages. Early hits such as Living Doll captured the hearts of fans with their tender lyrics and melodic charm, establishing Cliff as a versatile performer who could move effortlessly between the energy of rock and roll and the intimacy of ballads. Following this, tracks like Bachelor Boy showcased his ability to tell relatable stories through music, blending humor, romance, and everyday experiences in a way that appealed to listeners across generations. By the late 1970s, songs such as We Don't Talk Anymore demonstrated his enduring relevance, combining contemporary pop sensibilities with his signature vocal style. This ability to continually reinvent himself while maintaining his recognizable identity set him apart from other artists whose fame faded with time. Cliff's success was not limited to chart performance alone. His music became cultural touchstones, influencing fashion, trends, and the attitudes of multiple generations. From the rock and roll youth of the late 1950s to the pop-loving audiences of the 1980s and beyond, his songs were a soundtrack to countless lives. People grew up with his music, celebrated milestones to his songs, and passed them down to younger generations, creating a shared cultural memory that few artists achieve. His work transcended mere entertainment, becoming part of the social fabric of British life and a symbol of the country's musical evolution. Beyond commercial success, Cliff's versatility as an artist was remarkable. He moved fluidly between genres, from rock and roll to pop, gospel, and even musical theater. This adaptability allowed him to appeal to a wide range of audiences, and it demonstrated his genuine love of music, rather than a pursuit of fleeting trends. Whether performing an upbeat rock anthem or a heartfelt ballad, he consistently delivered performances marked by technical skill, emotional depth, and authenticity. Cliff's professional discipline and strong work ethic were central to His long-lasting career, he maintained a rigorous schedule of recording, touring, and media appearances, all while ensuring the quality of his performances never waned. Audiences admired not only his talent, but also his dedication to his craft, his humility, and the respect he showed to fans and collaborators alike. These qualities helped him build a loyal following that persisted through decades of changing musical landscapes, from the British invasion era to the modern pop era. His influence on the music industry is immeasurable. By blending innovation with consistency, Cliff paved the way for future generations of British musicians, inspiring countless artists to pursue careers with the same dedication and versatility. Over time, he became more than a performer. He became a cultural icon, representing the enduring power of passion, discipline, and talent. Through hits spanning generations, countless live performances, and a commitment to excellence, Cliff Richard not only achieved commercial and artistic success, but also left an indelible mark on popular culture. His music continues to resonate, reminding listeners of the timeless appeal of a true artist who has spent a lifetime perfecting his craft and connecting deeply with audiences around the world. Cliff Richard's remarkable career has not only been defined by his musical achievements, but also by the respect, admiration, and recognition he has earned over decades of dedication. Known for his clean-cut image, professionalism, and humility, Cliff has maintained a public persona that contrasts sharply with the often turbulent lives of many of his contemporaries. This image, carefully cultivated but genuinely reflected in his character, helped him gain widespread trust and affection from fans, peers, and critics alike. In 1995, Cliff Richard was knighted for his services to music and charity, an honor that recognized not only his extraordinary contributions to the entertainment industry, but also his consistent involvement in charitable efforts. The knighthood symbolized the respect and gratitude of a nation that had grown up with his music and admired his integrity. Beyond this pinnacle recognition, Cliff has received numerous other awards throughout his career, including multiple Bright Awards celebrating his musical influence, Ivor Novello Awards honoring his songwriting and artistic contributions, and an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, reflecting the breadth of his impact both on and off the stage. Philanthropy has always been an important aspect of Cliff's life. Over the years, he has actively supported various charitable organizations, raising funds, performing at benefit concerts, and lending his name to causes that help the vulnerable and the marginalized. From hospital charities to educational programs and international relief efforts, Cliff's commitment to giving back demonstrates a deep awareness of the privileges his fame has afforded him, and a desire to use those privileges for the betterment of society. Cliff's combination of talent, integrity, and philanthropy has set a standard in the music industry. While many artists achieve fame, few manage to maintain relevance, respect, and a consistent moral compass across decades. His awards and recognitions reflect not just chart success, but the holistic impact of his work, how he has inspired fans, nurtured fellow artists, and contributed positively to society. The knighthood, in particular, is more than a ceremonial title. It is a recognition of a lifetime of influence. Cliff's music shaped generations, providing joy, comfort, and cultural touchstones. At the same time, his charitable work reflects a commitment to humanity, demonstrating that his values extend far beyond the stage. Whether through public appearances, direct donations, or raising awareness for important causes, Cliff has consistently shown that a successful artist can also be a responsible and compassionate citizen. This recognition also highlights the longevity of his career. Remaining relevant across multiple decades is an achievement in itself, but being celebrated for both artistic excellence and societal contribution elevates Cliff to a status that few entertainers ever reach. His reputation as a disciplined, humble, and reliable figure in an industry often marred by excess and controversy has earned him admiration, not only from fans, but also from industry peers and cultural institutions. Cliff Richard's legacy is, therefore, twofold: as a pioneering musician whose influence shaped British popular music, and as a philanthropist whose dedication to charitable causes has made a tangible difference in people's lives. These dual contributions, artistic and humanitarian, reflect a rare combination of talent and character, demonstrating that success can be achieved with both skill and integrity. In celebrating Cliff, we celebrate not only the music that has delighted millions, but also the values of humility, responsibility, and generosity that he has consistently embodied. Even after decades at the top of the charts, Cliff Richard's passion for music remained undiminished. In 2013, he embarked on a special project that celebrated the roots of his own musical journey, the fabulous Rock and Roll Songbook. This album was not just another release, it was a heartfelt tribute to the legendary artists who had inspired him as a young musician. The collection featured his interpretations of classic songs by icons such as Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Buddy Holly, allowing a new generation of listeners to experience the timeless energy of early rock and roll. What made the fabulous Rock and Roll Songbook particularly special was the care and respect with which Cliff approached these classics. He wasn't simply covering the songs, he was breathing new life into them, blending his own vocal style with the spirit of the originals. Listeners could feel the enthusiasm and reverence in every note, reminding them not only of the music's enduring charm, but also of the profound influence it had on shaping Cliff's own career. Upon release, the album entered the UK charts and peaked at number 7, a remarkable achievement considering the competition from younger artists and modern pop trends. The record was eventually certified gold in the UK, selling over $100,000 copies, demonstrating that Cliff's appeal extended far beyond nostalgia. He remained a vital, relevant presence in contemporary music. Building on this success, Cliff released Just Fabulous Rock and Roll in 2016. This follow-up project continued his celebration of early rock and roll, but it also introduced innovative elements that reflected modern music production techniques. One of the album's highlights was a virtual duet with Elvis Presley on the iconic track Blue Suede Shoes. This technological collaboration bridged decades of music history, symbolizing both Cliff's lifelong admiration for Elvis and the evolution of recording technology. The album also included fresh interpretations of other classics, such as Roll Over Beethoven and Great Balls of Fire, showcasing Cliff's enduring vocal strength and his ability to reinterpret legendary material with authenticity and energy. Commercially, Just Fabulous Rock and Roll proved even more successful than its predecessor. It debuted at number 4 on the UK Albums Chart, confirming that Cliff's talent and relevance had not waned with age. Like the previous album, it was certified gold, marking yet another milestone in a career filled with accolades. These albums were not only a celebration of music that had inspired him, but also a reaffirmation of his place as one of Britain's most enduring and beloved performers. Beyond chart success, these tribute albums illustrate Cliff's deep connection to the history of music. They serve as a bridge between generations, introducing younger audiences to the pioneers of rock and roll while allowing longtime fans to relive the music that shaped their own experiences. Cliff's dedication to honoring the artists who influenced him demonstrates humility, respect, and a sense of musical continuity, reinforcing his role not only as a performer, but also as a custodian of cultural heritage. Ultimately, these projects highlight the passion and longevity that have defined Cliff Richard's career. Even after decades in the music industry, he continues to explore, celebrate, and reinterpret the music that first inspired him, proving that true artistry is timeless. Through the fabulous Rock and Roll Songbook and Just Fabulous Rock and Roll, Cliff reminds us of the enduring power of rock and roll, the joy of musical exploration, and the importance of preserving and honoring the sounds that shaped modern popular music. While Cliff Richard's professional life has often been in the spotlight, his personal life has remained remarkably private, a reflection of his disciplined nature and desire to separate his career from tabloid speculation. Throughout his life, Cliff remained a lifelong bachelor, a choice that has intrigued fans and media alike. Despite his fame, he navigated relationships with care, often prioritizing his career and personal principles over the pressures of romance and public expectation. In his early years, Cliff experienced several significant relationships. One of his first known romances was with dancer Delia Wicks, a connection marked by youthful energy and shared interests in the arts. Around the same time, he also had relationships with actress Una Stubbs and dancer Jackie Irving. Each of these early romances was shaped by the demands of his rapidly rising career. Long hours of rehearsals, recording sessions, and touring made sustaining traditional relationships difficult, and inevitably, these early partnerships ended. Despite these challenges, these experiences played a role in shaping Cliff's understanding of love, commitment, and the sacrifices required to pursue a demanding career in music. By the 1980s, Cliff's personal life became the focus of more public attention, particularly due to his high-profile romance with tennis champion Sue Barker. Their relationship attracted significant media coverage, with fans and tabloids speculating about the possibility of marriage. The couple shared memorable moments together, attending public events and enjoying the thrill of high society life. However, despite the public fascination, their relationship did not culminate in marriage. Cliff has often explained that his dedication to music, touring, and personal values contributed to the decision to remain unmarried, emphasizing that his commitment to his career often took precedence over conventional personal milestones. Cliff's choice to remain single has sometimes been framed by the media as unusual, yet it reflects a conscious and thoughtful approach to life. Rather than pursuing fame-driven relationships or succumbing to societal pressure, he maintained his independence and focused on the passions that defined him: his music, his charitable work, and his personal faith. His personal life demonstrates a balance between public persona and private integrity, showing that one can lead a fulfilling life even without following traditional paths. Fans have often admired Cliff not only for his musical talent, but also for his discipline, humility, and discretion in personal matters. By keeping his private life largely out of the tabloids, he created a sense of mystique and respect that has endured across decades. Unlike many of his contemporaries whose relationships were sensationalized or overshadowed their careers, Cliff managed to maintain a dignified private life while still engaging meaningfully with those he cared about. In many ways, Cliff Richard's personal life mirrors the values evident in his professional career: dedication, integrity, and an awareness of responsibility. Though he did not marry or have children, he built deep and lasting friendships, maintained strong family connections, and cultivated meaningful experiences that enriched his life. His relationships, though fewer and carefully chosen, were genuine, reflecting the same authenticity that has defined his music and public image. Ultimately, Cliff's personal journey offers an alternative perspective on happiness and fulfillment. By prioritizing his passions, maintaining personal principles, and navigating relationships thoughtfully, he demonstrates that a life well lived is not defined solely by marriage or conventional milestones, but by dedication, integrity, and the pursuit of one's true calling. His story reminds fans that personal contentment comes in many forms, and that a life devoted to art, service, and personal values can be as rich and rewarding as any traditional path. Andy Gibb, the youngest member of the legendary Bee Gees family, remains a figure remembered for both his extraordinary talent and the tragic brevity of his life. Born on March 5, 1958, in Manchester, England, Andy grew up in a household steeped in music. Surrounded by his older brothers, Barry, Robin, and Maurice, he absorbed the rhythms, harmonies, and showmanship that would later define his own career. While the Bee Gees were already establishing themselves internationally, Andy was quietly developing his own vocal style, a blend of smooth pop sensibilities and emotive expression that would soon captivate audiences worldwide. By the mid-1970s, Andy Gibb had begun to make his mark as a solo artist. His rise to fame was remarkably rapid. With his striking looks, charismatic stage presence, and natural charm, he quickly became a teen idol. Singles like "I Just Want to Be Your Everything," "Shadow Dancing," and "An Everlasting Love" dominated the charts, earning him multiple gold records and a devoted fan base. In many ways, Andy's appeal extended beyond his musical talent. He represented an era of youthful exuberance, glamour, and aspiration, embodying the allure of the 1970s pop scene. Yet behind the glittering success, Andy struggled with profound, personal challenges. His rise to fame placed enormous pressure on a young man still coming to terms with his identity and ambitions. Reports and interviews later revealed battles with addiction, depression, and emotional instability, issues that often go unseen by the public eye. While he brought joy to millions of fans, these personal demons increasingly impacted his career, relationships, and health. Despite interventions and support from family and friends, including his famously supportive brothers, Andy's struggles proved difficult to overcome. The combination of fame, pressure, and vulnerability created a fragile equilibrium in his life. On stage and in the recording studio, Andy exuded confidence, energy, and a magnetic charm, yet privately, he wrestled with feelings of isolation and self-doubt. Friends and collaborators described him as deeply talented, generous, and funny, yet often conflicted and searching for stability. His story serves as a stark reminder of the toll that early fame and intense public scrutiny can take on even the most gifted individuals. Tragically, Andy Gibb's life was cut short. He died on March 10, 1988, at the age of 30, from complications related to his ongoing health and substance struggles. His passing shocked fans around the world and left a lasting void in the music industry. Yet, even in death, his music continues to resonate. Songs like Shadow Dancing and I Just Want to Be Your Everything remain classics, remembered for their melodic richness, emotional depth, and the pure joy that Andy brought to his performances. Andy Gibb's story is both inspiring and cautionary. He achieved incredible success at an age when most are still finding their way, yet he also faced challenges that highlighted the pressures of fame and the importance of personal well-being. His legacy endures not only through his timeless music, but also as a poignant reminder of the complex realities behind the glittering facade of celebrity. Fans continue to celebrate his work, ensuring that Andy Gibb's name and contributions to pop music remain alive, honored, and cherished even decades after his untimely passing. For decades, Cliff Richard has been known for his discretion and thoughtful approach to discussing others in the music industry. Even though he and Andy Gibb moved in overlapping circles during the late 1970s and early 1980s, Cliff had rarely spoken publicly about Andy. Now, in a heartfelt reflection, he finally chose to break that silence, offering fans a rare glimpse into his thoughts on the young Bee Gees star and the impact he had on those around him. Cliff began by praising Andy's undeniable musical talent. He described Andy as someone who had a natural gift for melody, phrasing, and emotional expression, qualities that allowed him to connect instantly with listeners. Cliff noted that Andy's vocal abilities were matched by his charisma on stage, creating a combination that drew people in and made every performance feel personal. According to Cliff, Andy had a unique ability to live his songs, meaning that when he sang, audiences could sense the authenticity and vulnerability behind every note, giving the music a depth that went far beyond mere technical skill. Beyond his professional talent, Cliff highlighted Andy's personal qualities. He remembered him as a warm, engaging, and genuinely kind individual, someone who, despite the pressures of fame, maintained a sense of humility and approachability. Cliff observed that Andy's charm was effortless. He could light up a room, simply with his presence, yet he remained grounded in a way that made him relatable to fans and colleagues alike. In Cliff's eyes, this blend of talent, personality, and authenticity was rare, and made Andy stand out even among other successful artists of his time. Cliff also reflected on the challenges Andy faced behind the scenes. While he excelled on stage and in the recording studio, he battled personal struggles that were often hidden from public view. Cliff acknowledged the pressures that come with rapid fame, especially for someone as young as Andy, and expressed admiration for how he continued to perform and connect with audiences despite those difficulties. He spoke with empathy, recognizing that the music industry can be both exhilarating and unforgiving, particularly for young stars navigating success, expectation, and personal hardship simultaneously. In sharing these thoughts, Cliff conveyed a deep sense of respect and admiration for Andy Gibb. He emphasized that while Andy's life ended far too soon, his musical legacy endures, inspiring new generations of listeners and reminding fans of the joy and passion he brought to the world. Cliff's reflections were not just about nostalgia. They were an acknowledgement of Andy's enduring influence and the special qualities that made him memorable to everyone who knew him personally or through his music. Finally, Cliff's willingness to speak openly now reflects a broader understanding of the importance of celebrating artistry and life, even amid tragedy. By sharing his perspective, he not only honors Andy's memory, but also offers fans a deeper, more human understanding of the man behind the music. It is a testament to both Cliff's humility and his appreciation for talent, showing that true admiration often transcends time and circumstance. Through this candid tribute, audiences gain insight into the profound impact Andy Gibb had on those who knew him, and how even in silence, the respect and affection he inspired continue to resonate. Cliff Richard's reflections remind us that beyond fame and headlines, it is the authenticity, dedication, and heart of an artist that leaves a lasting mark on the world. Cliff Richard's reflections on Andy Gibb provide a rare, compassionate insight into the dual nature of fame, its dazzling rewards and its hidden burdens. While Andy's meteoric rise in the late 1970s brought him immense success, wealth, and global recognition, Cliff emphasized that such sudden stardom often comes with enormous pressure, particularly for young artists who are still learning to navigate adult responsibilities and public scrutiny. According to Cliff, Andy's rapid ascent was both a blessing and a challenge. On one hand, it allowed him to achieve incredible artistic milestones at an age when most musicians are still finding their voice. He experienced chart-topping hits, international tours, and admiration from millions of fans worldwide. On the other hand, this whirlwind of fame offered little time for reflection, personal growth, or the guidance that could have helped him manage the complexities of sudden celebrity life. Cliff noted that for many young stars, the line between professional success and personal well-being can become dangerously blurred, leaving them vulnerable to emotional and psychological strain. Cliff also spoke candidly about the personal struggles Andy faced behind the scenes. Despite his charming public persona and seemingly effortless performances, Andy battled inner demons, including addiction and the emotional toll of living under constant scrutiny. Cliff highlighted the tragic reality that young stars often lack the support systems necessary to cope with these pressures. In Andy's case, his struggles were compounded by the fast pace of fame and the relentless expectations of fans, management, and the music industry itself. One key point Cliff stressed was the fragility of life for those thrust into the spotlight too early. He reflected on how the combination of high expectations, personal vulnerabilities, and limited guidance can lead to destructive coping mechanisms. Andy's story, as Cliff described, is not simply about talent lost too soon. It is also about the emotional weight carried by young stars, the sacrifices demanded by a public life, and the importance of empathy in understanding their experiences. Cliff's reflections extend beyond Andy Gibb to a broader commentary on the music industry. He underscored that the pressures faced by young performers are often invisible to fans, who see only the glamour, accolades, and red carpet appearances. Behind the scenes, however, many artists confront mental health challenges, addictive behaviors, and the constant strain of maintaining public approval. Andy's life, as Cliff noted, exemplifies how these pressures can overshadow even extraordinary talent, reminding audiences of the human vulnerabilities that exist behind fame. Finally, Cliff's heartfelt words carry a message of awareness and compassion. By acknowledging both Andy's brilliance and his struggles, he encourages fans and fellow artists to recognize the complex realities of celebrity life. It is a reminder that admiration for an artist should include understanding and empathy for the personal challenges they face, and that celebrating their work is most meaningful when paired with respect for their humanity. Through this reflection, Cliff Richard honors Andy Gibb's memory not only by celebrating his music, but also by highlighting the lessons embedded in his life story, the fragility of youth, the challenges of sudden fame, and the enduring need for guidance, support, and care. In doing so, he leaves a thoughtful legacy that transcends the charts, offering both tribute and cautionary insight for anyone touched by the world of celebrity. Cliff Richard's reflections on Andy Gibb culminate in a heartfelt acknowledgement of the enduring legacy left behind by the youngest Bee Gees brother. While Andy's life was tragically cut short at just 30, Cliff emphasized that his story is not defined solely by his untimely death. Instead, it is a story of immense talent, charisma, and the joy he brought to millions of fans around the world. According to Cliff, Andy's music continues to resonate decades later, proving that a short life can still leave an indelible mark on the cultural landscape. Cliff spoke about the timeless quality of Andy's recordings. Songs like Shadow Dancing, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, and An Everlasting Love remain beloved not only for their catchy melodies and smooth production, but also for the emotion Andy poured into every performance. Cliff highlighted that Andy had a rare ability to make each listener feel as though the song was written just for them, a personal connection that is a hallmark of truly memorable artists. In this sense, Andy's influence extends far beyond chart positions or awards. It is felt every time a fan revisits his music and experiences the warmth, sincerity, and joy he conveyed. Beyond the music, Cliff reflected on Andy's human qualities and the vulnerability he shared through his performances. He noted that what made Andy so special was not just his technical ability, but the authenticity he brought to his work. Whether performing live, recording in the studio, or interacting with fans, Andy had an openness and honesty that resonated deeply with those around him. By sharing these personal insights, Cliff humanized Andy in a way that fans rarely had the opportunity to see during his lifetime, offering a more complete and compassionate picture of the man behind the music. Cliff also emphasized the importance of celebrating Andy's life, rather than focusing exclusively on the tragedy of his early passing. While it is natural to mourn the loss of such a gifted artist, Cliff urged fans to remember the joy, inspiration, and cultural impact Andy left behind. He encouraged audiences to honor his legacy by listening to his music, revisiting his performances, and appreciating the artistry and heart he shared with the world. This perspective transforms Andy's story from one of sorrow into a celebration of life and creativity. Finally, Cliff's tribute serves as a form of closure for fans who may have struggled with the untimely loss of a beloved artist. By speaking openly about Andy's talents, struggles, and enduring influence, Cliff creates a bridge between memory and admiration, allowing audiences to both grieve and rejoice in equal measure. His reflections remind us that while life may be fragile and fleeting, the impact of genuine artistry, compassion, emotion, and authenticity can endure forever. In the end, Andy Gibb's legacy is one of beauty, joy, and emotional resonance. Thanks to Cliff Richard's thoughtful tribute, fans are invited to remember not just the challenges Andy faced, but the incredible light he brought into the world. His songs continue to be celebrated, his performances remembered, and his story shared with new generations, ensuring that the youngest Gibb brother remains a cherished part of musical history for years to come. Cliff Richard's reflections on Andy Gibb remind us that behind every iconic song and chart-topping hit, there's a human story filled with talent, struggle, and heart. Andy's life may have been tragically short, but his music, charisma, and the joy he shared continue to live on, inspiring fans across generations. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lives of Cliff Richard and Andy Gibb, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories about music legends, hidden histories, and the untold stories behind your favorite stars. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and give this video a like if it brought back memories or gave you a new perspective on these iconic artists. We'd also love to hear from you. Comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? And which song by Cliff Richard or Andy Gibb has touched you the most? Your story could be featured in our next video. Remember, celebrating these artists is not just about remembering their struggles, it's about honoring their talent, legacy, and the joy they continue to bring into our lives.